Alright, I need to give you a talk on health and safety. It's only a very basic skim on main regulations that we're going to go through. We'll have some questions at the end. For those that don't know, I'm Rob Mackenzie. I'm the Estates Manager and the Health and Safety Manager for New College. I've only been here since October, so I'm just getting to grips with it in a minute. So we're going to look at, there's something above there, it's not missing. The Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. It's above there, so you can't see it. So the act is used to provide a comprehensive legislation dealing with health and safety of people at work and protecting the public from work activities. So the act was brought in 1974 because before the act existed, employers were basically abusing the staff, making them grow deaf, giving them cancer, not providing good work places for them to be. So the government stepped in and put this act in place to protect everybody really and stop people getting killed at work. So the act imposed a duty of care on everyone related to their roles. So that's employees, employers, the owners of the buildings, which would be me, New College, designers, so that's architects can't design something that's dangerous to maintain, the suppliers that supply the equipment and the manufacturers that make the equipment. So a machine's got to be guarded when supplied, it's got to be safe, electrical it's got to be safe. So the employer's duties under the Health and Safety at Work Act. So the main duties are to ensure, as far as reasonably practicable, that health and safety and welfare at work for all employees. So as far as reasonably practicable means, if it costs a lot of money to prevent something happening, if it's ridiculous amounts of money, we don't need to do it by law. So an example of this, for example, the building site outside, we've put fencing around it. It's locked on a night, people can't get in. If someone decides to come and cut the fencing down, or climb over it and fall into a trench and they break their leg, we've done everything that we can without spending a fortune to make the area safe. So we won't have to go to court, they can't sue us, we've done everything possible. So the employer has to provide the provision of safe plant and systems of work. So any machinery they provide, any tools, have to be guarded, tested for that, stuff like that. And safe systems of work are more of like permits, risk assessments, that sort of thing, to make sure they've assessed the risk and reduce it as much as they can before you start work. The safe handling, storage and transport of materials and substances. This can be anything from bricks, sheets of plywood, MDF, and the transport around site to make sure people aren't carrying it in their backs, that sort of thing. Substances will come on to under COSH. That's so they are providing chemicals that are going to burn your hands, or you're going to inhale them and do damage to your lungs and stuff like that. And any training, instruction and supervision that's required. So to do your job, if you need some training to do it properly and safely, the employer's got to pay for it, give you time to go and do it, and also make sure you keep it up to date. So if it needs to be renewed, for example gas, every year we'll go and do a test, stuff like that. And a safe place of work with safe access and egress. This is mainly your welfare, so an employer has to provide a decent place for work, decent place to have your food, hot and cold water, toilets, and make sure when you come to work you're not jumping over a trench or climbing up a scaffold just to get to the workplace. Outside here they have two cabins. They've got the main office and then a snack cabin underneath with hot and cold water. At the minute they're using the college toilets until they provide their own, but outside A block they've got a contained unit. It's got a toilet, hot and cold water, an office and a snack room all in one. So they cover all that under these regulations. And a safe working environment and welfare, which we just discussed. Without the welfare, in theory, if there's no toilets on site and no hot and cold water, the staff can refuse to work under these regulations until it's provided. So employees' duties, that's the staff that are on site. They need to take reasonable care for health and safety of themselves and others who may be affected by their actions. So look after themselves, don't do anything stupid or alter machinery that might hurt somebody else, or as they call it, horseplay, no messing about, that sort of thing. They must cooperate with their employees and others to enable them to fulfil their legal obligations. So if an employer provides personal protective equipment, they must wear it. If the employer says you need to do it this way because it's safe, rather than cutting corners, they must do it. Not to tamper with safety equipment or PPE that's provided. A lot of joiners especially take guards off machines. It makes it easier to do things like that. That makes it dangerous, and then well, with safety equipment, they're risking their life and others doing so. And inform the employer of any risks or concerns they may have. If they think something's dangerous that's maybe cropped up new, or the site's changed slightly, or it's muddy or slippy, rather than just turn a blind eye, they should tell their employer. And it also prevents other people getting hurt. So the Management of Health and Safety at Work Act, this is brought in to supplement the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 with a range of management issues, most of which to be carried out all in the workplace. So risk assessments, every business, whether it's building, offices, police station, anything like that, will have risk assessments for changing lights, cleaning, anything. If you've got more than 5 employees that work for you, they have to be wrote down and recorded. If not, it can just be a visual assessment and then filtered out to the team. So a risk assessment, I don't know if anybody knows what risk assessments are here. No? I'll give you a brief overview of them. You pick out the risk, you assess the risk and reduce, and then put controls in place to reduce it. So as an example, say someone's sawing wood on a saw, he's got no extraction, no goggles, no air protection. You've assessed the risk, you've provided dust extraction for it, you provide them with goggles, you provide them with ear fenders, and you provide them with training, which reduces the risk. Principles of prevention, so avoiding risk or substituting risk. Going back to a saw, you can always have a robot. If it's going to be the same process all the time, mechanical robot can do it for you, reduces the risk. Or substituting the risk, mainly for chemicals. You can buy, say, cleaning products, some that will burn your skin, burn your eyes. You can also get now a water-based version of them now, which are less harmful to people to get on your skin. Health surveillance, mainly in building trade. Health surveillance should be carried out once a year for staff, just in case they get any lung problems, the hearing, eyesight. If you have on site, like we do here, we've had asbestos issues in A block, the site team now will have health surveillance just to check they aren't having asbestosis or being caused any problems by it. It's not every year you have to do it, but it's good practice to do it every year. It's also monitors to say, are you going deaf? Let's look at your job, try and put some different things in place. And also with health surveillance, if someone comes back with a claim saying, I've worked at your place for 30 odd years and now I'm going deaf, if you've got health surveillance to prove that they are, or you've put things in place, you can't claim against your company. So the capabilities and training of all staff, this is mainly to make sure they're suitable for what they're doing. If it's manual handling or it's quite a manual job, make sure they're capable of doing it, they've been trained to do it. You're not putting any pressure that they don't want to do stuff they can't do. The unexpected mothers, this is more for office based, if they're in an office. You have to do a risk assessment now for pregnant ladies and basically cover off so they're not carrying things upstairs, they aren't using any microwaves or any plant or equipment that might harm the unborn child, and if they are, you can send them home on pay, full pay, while they're expecting. And young persons, a lot of young people on building sites think they're invincible or Superman, so they always try to show off and be hard, climbing scaffolding, lifting things they can't do. Young people are very at risk on site. When you're on site at first, you think you're good, you're messing about, you're not at school anymore. But a lot of young people get hurt from basically playing about and showing off. So yet again, another risk assessment in place, plenty of training, plenty of supervision for them. And then when they're out at the time, done the 3 years apprenticeship or whatever, then slowly lead them into working on their own and give them jobs to do. So RIDDOR, it's reporting of injuries, diseases and dangerous occurrences, regulations. These come into everywhere that has a business and staff, and it puts duties on employers, self-employed and people who control the premises, a responsible person. So for New College, that responsible person's me. And you have to report certain serious workplace accidents, occupational diseases and specified dangerous occurrences and near misses. So a near miss is something that's happened but not caused an accident. So for example, if someone fell off the scaffold in front of somebody but didn't hit them, that's a near miss, that should be recorded. There's an hierarchy of near misses, I should maybe put it on there. So for every 1,000 near misses that you spot, there might be, say, 10 accidents. So for every ones that you report, you might get 10 accidents. For every 10 accidents, you might get 1 fatality. So the more you report, less and less, to reduce it down. So reportable injuries under RIDDOR. Any fractures other than fingers, thumbs and toes. Great example for you now. Gemma RNC Energizer, it's broke her ankle in 2 places during a work activity. So I've reported that under RIDDOR to the HSE, see how she's done it. And it's part of well, it's an accident really, what she's done. RIDDOR reportable injuries such as the Malta trip, we had Sophie Weaver break her arm there. That's not reportable to the HSE because they have no jurisdiction abroad. It's only for UK only. Any amputations, dislocation of shoulder, hip, knee or spine. These are a bit vague when it comes to sports such as rugby, football, that sort of thing. It's part of the risk of the game. But if it's to do with work, say you're carrying something and you dislocate your hip or your shoulder, it's reportable. Loss of sight, temporary or permanent. A chemical or hot burn to the eye, or any penetrating injury to the eye. So, with hospital treatment basically, if you're cutting timber and you get something in your eye, it's reportable if you have to go to hospital. If you just rub it out, it's not a problem, it'll go in the accident book. But if it's serious, it's reportable. And injuries resulting from electric shock or burns are reportable. Diseases. Certain poisonings. Some skin disease such as occupational dermatitis. A lot of builders get that. It's like a skin disorder when you've had wet hands and been using cement. Lung diseases such as asbestosis. Infections, hepatitis, tuberculosis. A lot of people in drainage can catch them if you don't have the correct injections. What's that say on there? Other conditions such as occupational cancer, hand-arm vibration syndrome. Has anybody heard of hand vibration syndrome? No? A lot of miners used to get it. If you're working with power tools all day long, banging away, all the nerve endings in your fingers stop working. So you end up with having blood in your hands. It's quite a serious condition. If it's really bad, if you've been using a drill all the time, people can't even turn a page in a book. They're just numb, with no feeling whatsoever. That again comes under your health surveillance. If you surveillance all the time, they do a touch test where they put your fingers where you've got blindfolds on so much you can feel them. Dangerous occurrences. Any lifting machinery collapse or failure. This can be anything from crane, gin lift, block and tackle. Anything that's failed under a load needs reporting. Any pressure system failure, such as you're eating at college, there's pressure vessels in the cellar. If they go over and above the system's regulated design, it should be reported because it could become a time bomb and explode, cause a lot of damage. Overhead power lines struck by plant or equipment. This is general power lines that you see out and about. On building sites you'll see they'll put goalposts up at a certain height with tape on to prevent any diggers driving under any power lines and catching them. Electrical fault resulting in fire or explosion. At college, electrical is tested every 5 years to prevent this sort of thing happening, and also your pack testing and visual inspection assists with this. Collapse of scaffolding, quite obvious. And escape of flammable substances. There's only a certain amount of flammable substances that you report. I think it's 100 litres in so much, I need to find out if anyone needs to do. Such as petrol, a lot of glues are flammable. Gases, any escape of gas the same. The only reporting. There's a massive list on the HSE website, it goes on and on. This is only a skim of it. I think there's about 27 normal items and they all break down into different categories. So COSH. COSH is the control of substances hazardous to health. So COSH covers most substances found in the workplace. Anything with these orange labels on should have a COSH assessment, because under COSH it can damage you in some way. Even fairy liquid might have one of these on, because if you drink it it's bad for you. So even down to cleaning products as basic as that. So solvents, paints, adhesives and cleaners, covered by COSH. Substances generated by dust and fumes. So cutting MDF is quite a major one, that'll become the new asbestos. If you're cutting MDF with an electric saw, as the glue cuts, it's carcinogenic, so it'll end up giving you cancer eventually. Fumes, especially from welding. If you're welding all the time, especially galvanised material and stuff like that, the fumes will end up giving you cancer and killing you. So a COSH assessment should be carried out and stored with every item where it is in place. So if someone comes to get it, they can read the COSH data and see the risk before they even start using it. A COSH assessment goes alongside a risk assessment. A COSH assessment basically puts down, if you're using the material, how to use it, if it goes wrong and you get it in your eyes or you get on your hands, what to do in that case, and then worst case scenario it'll tell you, go to the hospital and get sorted out and get treatment. Electricity at Work Act 1994. The purpose of these regulations is required cautions to be taken against risk of death or personal injury from electrical and work activities. These regulations impose a duty on it's duty holder at college. I'm the duty holder for college. Because I'm not electrically trained, I employ a third party to do all the testing and inspection and keep it up to date. In such big factories, for example at Nestle, the chocolate factory, they have 2 or 3 duty holders for different areas. So any electrical system they're in charge of, if somebody comes in to work on it, they'll come and assess it, issue them a permit, prove it's dead before they work on it, to prevent someone getting electric shock. Every year about 30 people die from electric shock, and each year several hundred serious burns are caused by arc, which is heat generated from electricity. I'm going to show you a picture now of someone who's had a bad electric shock and explain how it tends to happen. So this is from high voltage cable. So a burn normally, say you get burnt from a pan or a plate, it burns the skin on top of your hand. An electric shock burn, if you touch the cable and got hold of it, the electric conducts through your arm and it burns from the inside out. So at first, say you cut a cable with a Stanley knife, a minor shock, oh you get a bit of a bang, it might let go. But then inside, it's burning inside up here. If this shock gets to your heart, that's when it kills you. But that's quite a serious burn he's had there. I mean, one of the worst ones really. Display screen equipment. This comes in for a lot of offices and college. Oops. These regulations cover the minimum health and safety requirement for use of display screen equipment in the workplace. So anybody at college, for example, that's working on a computer all the time can get neck injuries, backache. People in the office have chairs to reduce it, as well as eye strain, which is caused by looking at the computer screen all day. So a person's qualified for this, who depends on the computer to do their job day in, day out. If they spend an hour or more every day on the computer, and who does so more or less every day. So at college we have a checklist for staff that are using computers all day to make sure the chair's set at the right height, the computer's the right height, so they aren't stoops. Laptops and iPads are quite a terrible thing to be using now for DSE because people sit, they're cramped with them playing on them, stuff like that. Over time people have neck ache, and backache mainly. Manual handling regs. These regulations apply to any transporting and supporting of loads that is by human effort as opposed to mechanical. So anything that you see someone picking up, lifting, even propping and holding is covered by these regs. So manual handling regs include lifting, pulling, pushing, pulling and carrying and moving loads. There is used to be a set thing for how tall you are and how much you can lift at a certain point. Now it's done by risk assessment depending on the individual, because you might get someone quite stuck like a scaffolder, carry 4 or 5 boards all day long, or you might get someone tall who's just started, so they might struggle. So it's all dependent on risk and how different people use it. You get a lot of back injuries because people don't bend from the knees, and basically once you hurt your back, it'll happen again and again, so you should look after it. So all this information that I've got there is on the HSE website. There's reams and reams and reams of it. The main Health and Safety at Work Act is a massive document that's in gobbledygook really. So the government put out what they call ACOPs, which are approved codes of practice. These are like an easy read version of the Health and Safety at Work Act, and it'll tell you how to comply with it. You can't be done under law under the ACOPs, but if you've brought the rules and you've killed somebody on site, you'll be in court and they can still prosecute you through these approved codes of practice. So, any more questions?
Guys, we've got some questions, haven't we? Who's going to be brave and ask a question?
What would you say is most important legislations and why?
Most important legislation? I would say the Health and Safety at Work Act is the most important. It covers such a wide umbrella of, all of your COSH, everything, all linked back into it. there's plenty more under Health and Safety at Work Act. There's PURE, which is for power tool use, LOLA for lifting, and they're all linked back into Health and Safety at Work Act. If you injure somebody or hurt somebody at work, the HSE will punish you through the Health and Safety at Work Act, through the other parts. So that's me, yeah.
Do you do risk assessments yourself?
I do risk assessments for college, yeah. I've done what's called NEBOSH, which is the Health and Safety Certificate, and it puts you through all that sort of risk assessments, permits, and sort of things like that. You should always be a competent person that's doing the risk assessment. Or if you're not fully competent on the job, the person who's going to be doing it will know more about it. You should have them with you, so you do it together, pick the risks, how to reduce them, and then also review it. You should also review them every year, so even if nothing's changed, quick flick through it. You should also review them if new person started, new machinery comes into use, or after an accident. So if there's been an accident, change your risk assessment to reflect it. Okay? Anybody else?
What's your role involved then on a daily basis? What do you do sort of?
My role at college, estates-wise, look after full maintenance, which links into health and safety. So at the minute I'm just looking at the electrical side. We're up for our 5-year test for the full site. So I'll keep that up to date. I look after trips and visits before you go on a trip anywhere. If it's important, I go there and make sure it's safe before you go, get the information. Any students disabled, I have to review access and egress for them, what to do in a fire. We've had quite a few fire emergencies just recently, which I'm only just reviewed, so we're still on with that. But anything else basically with college that comes to light, for example, for sport, we're having anything in the sports hall that's not a general PE activity, we're going to assess it and make sure it's safe.
Brilliant, thank you. Any other questions, guys? No? Right, lovely.